Federalists are going to be the ones who wrote the Constitution and who believe in this stronger role of the federal government, a larger republic. If anything, they would say the states have a role, the states have the Senate. The Senate was elected by state legislatures. They represent the states. The House represents the people. This is the perfect balance. But when we go to that ratification process, we also have a large number of people that are turning against this new Constitution, and they are labeled anti-federalists. Originally, they wanted to be called the Federalists because they thought they had the right balance, but they got nicknamed the anti-feds, so there you go. We have anti-feds like Samuel Adams, Patrick Henry, William Randolph, George Clinton, George Mason, and even Thomas Jefferson, even though they shipped him off to Paris. The anti-feds' main argument is, number one, this is an illegal move. Number two, where are our liberties? We don't trust this new big federal government. They're going to take our rights away. And they're not going to be looking out for the interest of the smaller states, of the rural areas. And that's really what's represented by the anti-feds, rural America, the South, farmers, debtors, as opposed to the Federalists, who are really represented by manufacturers and artisans and big city interests. So that's the main two groups, guys. The Federalists, which support the new federal Constitution, and you have the anti-feds, who are really in love with the Articles of Confederation.
In order to convince the colonies that this new Constitution was worth ratifying, Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison came together to write the 85 Federalist Papers under an anonymous pen name. These papers explained certain provisions of this Constitution in layman's terms. They claimed that the proposed system would preserve the Union, which was in danger of falling apart under the anti-Federalist approved Articles of Confederation, and empower the federal government to act firmly and coherently in national interest. In one of the most important papers, Federalist Paper 10, Madison explains that one of the benefits of the Constitution is that it establishes a government strong enough to control factions.
How should a new democracy establish effective government? The Federalist Papers, a collection of highly influential essays written by three of the United States founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison, were written to provide answers to that question. And perhaps the most famous philosophical idea covered in the collection of 85 papers, published between 1787 and 1788, stemmed from Madison's Federalist No. 10. Madison believed that direct democracy, where citizens vote and directly decide on policy themselves, posed a danger to individual rights and could result in a tyranny of the majority. Here, Madison agreed with Hamilton, whose Federalist No. 9 had warned that in a direct democracy, political factions could act to achieve specific agendas at the expense of society as a whole. Madison's paper proposed an alternative: representative democracy, where elected officials would represent the community instead. Madison believed that a group of representatives would develop a resolve that considered the whole community, the fairest solution. The Federalist Papers had an enormous impact on the evolution of the U.S. Constitution and U.S. politics.
The Anti-Federalists refused to ratify the Constitution due to its lack of a Bill of Rights, and though the Feds disapproved of adding one, they finally gave in. A Bill of Rights was added and the Constitution was finally ratified.